Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my podcast. We are in the month of April in 2024. I don't know when you'll be watching this or listening to this, if you are tuning into my podcast or YouTube. But I'm here. I'm excited about life. I hope you are as well. As you know, I'm the founder of Beauty Is, and every month we have a different purity focus. Now, if you do not know, beauty is, by definition, purity. It's based on the book of Esther. When the king assigned someone to help with the women's beauty treatments, that word beauty treatment in the original Greek, it's Esther 2:3. That word means purification. Original Hebrew. So when the women were beautifying themselves to go before the king, they were in essence purifying themselves. They were pulling out the toxins from their external world, from their internal world. They used myrrh a lot of the times, and back in the day, myrrh a lot of times was burnt to aid in healing. So the women were going through this holistic purification process with the intent to beautify, which is so cool. I was blown away when I was studying different scriptures about beauty, happened upon that, and it was just a key. And now I get to share that with the world. I get to teach you guys and show you guys that beauty is purity, rather than focusing on becoming anything other than you. Focus on becoming the best version of you via the mechanism of purification, and that will result in you becoming the most beautiful version of yourself. So every month we have a different purity focus, and this month we are going to focus on clean eating, purifying your food. Fun, right? Now, if you do subscribe to my candle of the month, the intention, you'll see there is no compromise. So those are the two things we're going to unpack in this podcast today, is the value of clean eating, and we're going to unpack, we extrapolate everything from the book of Esther. Really, it's the first 17 verses of Esther chapter 2. So we're going to take a look at the scriptures, see that Esther did this, and then we're going to talk about the value of no compromise when it comes to you and your own beauty journey. So if you just happen to be tuning into this podcast and you don't subscribe to my candle of the month, I definitely encourage you to do that. Every month it's a pure display. We have a pure candle, we have a pure perfume mist, and I am very passionate about purity in general. And so you can couple the content with the product line, kind of bring it to life. You spray the perfume of the month, and you breathe in your intention, set your intention for the month. So consider subscribing if you don't already. It's just $40 a month. For my podcast listeners, I do offer $5 off. You're going to use the code $5 off. So let's go ahead and get on into the word without further ado. So we are going to be looking at Esther chapter 2, verse 9. Now, this is the same scripture that we actually unpacked last month when we were talking about physical fitness. The purity focus for last month was your fitness routine. This month it is clean eating. And so on a personal note, I am definitely embracing these two things passionately with exuberance, and it has been hard. It's been hard, but that's why it's producing results. Transformation doesn't just happen. So last month my focus was really on my physical fitness routine, and I had been feeling lethargic. It's been raining a ton in Northern California, been doing a lot of traveling. Some of that even involved a funeral, and so emotionally I was just in that space of trying to spark the flame, that get up and go. And so I really relied on my discipline last month for my fitness routine. It really wasn't a lot of natural motivation. It was just like, hey, I decided to do this, so I'm going to follow through on it. And then this month I'm adding to my fitness. So last month I was focusing on 3 times a week, no matter what. Was using my Gal Pals routine, Candace. I did do an Instagram live with her. If you haven't seen it, pop on over to Beauty is Magazine and check out that Instagram live. She put together a fitness routine, and guys, it's a steal of a deal. It's 6 weeks and it's just $45. So I was sticking to that. I was doing that 3 times a week. This month I'm doing it 4 times a week, and I am joining you guys in this purity focus this month and cracking down on my eating habits. And my plan this month is to do 1,400 calories. I've had quite a journey actually with food. So in my early 20s, when I was first saved, I had definitely had an unhealthy dependency or unhealthy relationship with food. I was codependent, I suppose you could say, on it. I would turn to food if I was upset. And yeah, so when I first got saved, I entered into this pretty aggressive season of fasting that was led by the Lord, and that dependency was broken off of me, and I lost quite a bit of weight. And I mean, still to this day, if I feel really upset, sometimes I do crave food, but I'm aware of it, you know, so I'm like, okay, if I am not feeling well and I want to eat, I bet there's something going on a little deeper here that I could journal. I could process with a trusted friend, could call my mom, and process these negative emotions rather than turning to food for the negative emotions. Anybody else out there? Is this relatable for any other human being on the other side of this microphone and this camera? I am sure I am not the only one. Or maybe it's a latte. You're like, I'm upset, I'm gonna go get a latte. Or whatever, you know, fill in the blank. But I recognized early on when I first got saved that I definitely turned to food to cope. And so I have gone on a long journey with what I choose to put in my body, and the Lord has been intimately involved in that. I've always brought him into that, and especially since building Beauty Is, I've been very intrigued with, what did Esther eat? That's a question I pray about. I talk to the Lord about, I study, which we're going to unpack a little bit here. But even in general, like biblically, God, what is the best way to eat? Because I know that you designed our bodies and you gave us food to eat, you know, and so what does it look like for us to be the best version of ourselves and partner with your mandate for what we eat, your guideline, your, you know, biblically, like, what do you recommend we eat? Because that will produce the best results, and it will make us more beautiful. And so, yeah, so this has definitely been an open-ended question concept that I have been bringing before the Lord. And so I've done a lot of different regimens, I suppose you could say, whether it's fasting, whether it's just liquids, whether it's a couple years ago I had hired a trainer, and I was very, very strict with my macros and my calories. But my macros, if you don't know what that is, it's either carbohydrates or proteins or fats, like those 3 things I was keeping track of in my process of eating. And I was trying to consume 40% protein in my macros. It's a lot of meat, gosh, a lot of chicken, not gonna lie, a lot of chicken. And so I'm not doing that right now. I would say, just to be vulnerable with you guys, I haven't landed yet the fullness of what I feel like God wants to show me through the Word. What is the best way to eat? I'm intrigued with Adam and Eve. In the garden, they only ate fruits. I don't think I'm going to be a fruitarian, but I just am intrigued with that. Things that grow from the earth. I'm very intrigued. I'd like to have my own garden someday. And I do believe, even from a frequency standpoint, we haven't even gotten in the Word yet, and I'm just buzzing. Even from a frequency standpoint, things that are more alive, I believe, are going to enhance your beauty. So things that are dead are meat. Chicken is low frequency, it's dead. And potato chips, you know, a lot of preservatives, very low frequency. I would imagine the benefit for your body is going to be low because our body is a living entity. This is just my theory. I'd love to bring an actual nutritionist into this process, but things like picked fresh from the vine, fresh fruits and vegetables, I would imagine is going to cause your body to glow, like your face to glow. People that eat fresh fruits and vegetables, they just have this aliveness to them. Anyways, I'm going to stop there because these are some of my raw thoughts still in the making. So I haven't arrived yet on what I want to put in my body, but I have arrived at my boundaries. So right now it's calories, and I am aiming to lose 13 pounds. And I'm getting summer ready, and so I'm doing 1,400 calories every day. But what make up those 14 calories, I am not super strict on. So, for example, today I did have a latte, and I'm going to have an apple, big one. And when I was training, an apple would take up and exceed all of my carbohydrates in one day for my macros. And I'm like, gosh, I just want fruit. I love fruit. I've always loved fruit. So, I had blueberries, like a handful of blueberries this morning before my workout, which gave me such good energy, by the way. And so I'm not counting my macros inside of that boundary of 1,400 calories. I've done 1,600 before. A friend of mine is doing 1,200. She's experienced significant success with that. So anyways, so there we go. So those are all my thoughts. Excuse me. Take another drink of water. Hope you all love my polka dotted shirt here. It was a prophetic piece when my friend Rachel helped me style, and yeah, I felt like wearing it today. So let's get into the book of Esther, shall we? So if you don't know, Esther is a plumb line. She's sort of the source of inspiration for everything we do here at Beauty Is. Esther was a queen, if you didn't know. So she came alongside of King Ahasuerus and essentially saved an entire people group. So she had incredible destiny attached to her marriage. She went through 12 months of beauty treatments, of purification to get ready for her marriage. And that's a lot of what beauty is. There's this beauty component, this purification component, inspiring women to become the best, most beautiful versions of themselves, harnessing the mechanism of purity. And then there's this other component of going after your dreams, women empowerment, partnering with Beauty Is to see your dreams fulfilled through selling the Beauty Is product line. And I've done a lot of that door to door, and so I can teach women and equip women on how to do that. And you could either use your own products, or if you want practice, you can buy my products wholesale and essentially gain skills for going after your dreams while also gaining wealth to hopefully give you a little bit of a buffer as you go after your dreams, because it just takes time. Sometimes you just need, hours on end at the coffee shop, pulling out and extrapolating, okay, what is my why? What is my mission? What are my core values? What is my brand identity? What, so on and so forth. And so Beauty is designed to be a tool for women that want to fulfill their destiny and go after their dreams, for them to do two things: gain literal skill sets in going after your dreams, things like grit, things like communication skills, and then gain wealth. So there's all of that. So Esther is the plumb line here for what we're doing at Beauty Is. So I'm going to read out of Esther chapter 2, verse 9. And it reads like this. We're going to start with the New King James. Well, actually, I like to read out of the New King James and the New Living Translation to really bring the scriptures to life. But we're just going to read out of the New Living Translation today. And then we're going to get into the original Hebrew. So NLT reads like this, verse 9, chapter 2. Hegai was very impressed with Esther and treated her kindly. He quickly ordered a special menu for her and provided her with beauty treatments. He also assigned her 7 maids specially chosen from the king's palace, and he moved her and her maids to the best place in the harem. If you're watching on YouTube, here's my little binder. It's huge. It is not little. I love to tote this thing around. Got all my beauty lessons and Bible study stuff in here. Okay, so I think it's interesting here that Esther had a special menu. That's what we're going to get into today. So now that word, beauty treatments, is purification. So Hegai was very impressed with Esther and treated her kindly. He quickly ordered a special menu for her and provided her with beauty treatments, provided her with Talmud, provided her with purification. But that word special menu is not a part of the word purification. It's its own word in the original Hebrew, and it is the word manna. So that word manna means part or portion, specifically food, sometimes used as a ration or a portion. So if we cross-correlate that word in other scriptures, we see, I'm going to pull it out of Nehemiah 8:10. Reads like this: Then he said unto them, Go your way, eat the fat, drink the sweet, and send portions, or send manna, unto them for whom nothing is prepared. Another scripture that uses that word manna in it, 1 Samuel 9:23, and Samuel said unto the cook, Bring the portion, bring the manna, which I gave thee, of which I said unto thee, set it by thee. So in essence, this word manna is really referring to a specific kind of food. So Esther was a Jew. Now, in order for us to really understand what Esther ate, it's important to understand her heritage, because Esther ate kosher. Now, I actually didn't know what that was until I started studying all of this. I'm very, very intrigued with it now. So kosher, I'm not an expert. I want to preface all of this. I am not an expert. These are my surface level studies here. But in essence, what I will say is eating clean is going to enhance your beauty journey, period. Okay? And the intention this month is no compromise. These are two things that if you were to consider me your beauty coach, I would say I am 100% qualified to encourage you in those two things, to get inspired and eat clean, clean up your eating, and then embrace this concept of not compromising. That's how you're really going to eat clean, is to have this grit, no compromising attitude in your eating habits. So anyways, just wanted to preface that I'm not an expert here, but kosher. So the Jews, essentially they say, let me reference my notes here. Kosher is a Hebrew word that means fit. Yeah. So in addition to that, the Jews regarded what they ate as kosher or clean or fit. So eating kosher it's really embracing this clean eating lifestyle. So the Jews would only eat certain foods. What those foods are specifically, you'd need to go and research yourself, but I do know they did not eat things like pig or swine. They did not eat bottom feeder fish, so on and so forth. Certainly no preserved foods, certainly no refined sugar. So some of these things I don't eat as well. In my own journey, I am not eating refined sugar. I am generally not eating dairy. I generally eat clean meats. So I would say I'm very intrigued with the kosher diet, and even within myself, I'm kind of moving towards that. I like the idea of clean eating, period. And I believe the best information comes from the Bible as far as a guideline for us to really become the best version of ourselves, because whatever God does is best and produces best. God is also the source of beauty. So when we align with his ways, we will become more beautiful. And so, so this notion of kosher eating, in essence, it's clean eating. The Jews did it. So now Esther was a Jew. So she was already eating kosher. But in the palace, she had even more limitations with that because of what the palace would serve. So the little bit of research I did, Esther really for 12 months, she was limited to eating like beans and nuts and, you know, fresh berries, but her diet was very, very restricted. So here's a takeaway. Esther did not waver in what she chose to put in her body. She did not waver from her conviction to eat clean. She did not waver from, I guess you could say, the instructions that God gave her to eat. She did not waver from that. And she had to really kind of step it up in a sense, like what was available for her to eat, she had even more limited options. And so she did not compromise. If we were to kind of put Esther in her corner as a source of her inspiration, like what she ate and what she put in her body was a big part of her 12 months of beautification, big part of her beauty journey. But in essence, that girl just stood her ground and she did not compromise. Now, she had favor with Hegai, so Hegai hooked her up and gave her that special menu. But that's what Esther ate. You know, Esther, she had a very limited diet, and she was careful with what she chose to put in her body. So bottom line, using Esther's beauty regimen as our source of beautification, what she ate was a significant part of her 12 months in the palace. And what we can deduce from this is that what you choose to eat and put in your body directly affects how you look. Not just in the sense of being trim and toned, but even in the sense of vibrancy, and the quality of the food that you eat matters too. So I guess I just leave you with this. Like, you don't have to take on everything you eat at once. You know, bottom line, what you put in your body affects how you look. So we just dove into the scriptures. We got into some a lot of details. But if we zoom back up here, big picture, what you eat affects how you look. Period. So that being said, if you were just to take a pause real quick and examine, okay, this is what I tend to eat. These are my go-tos, or even these are my crushes. I do actually resonate with that, Kacee. I am an emotional eater. I turn to food rather than processing my feelings. Whatever it is, kind of look at, maybe you're 5 stars. Maybe you've mastered this completely. But I encourage you, how could you take your eating habits to the next level of purification, and how could you clean up in just like 1 or 2 or 3 ways what you choose to put in your body? Take a moment right now and think about that. Maybe it's supplementing your morning cinnamon roll for a protein bar, which I have done in the past. Maybe it's not eating past 7 o'clock at night, adding in some boundaries there, or embracing intermittent fasting. Both those things I have done. Maybe it's actually fasting for a little bit. Maybe it's taking a day and not consuming anything. That's good for your body. And just drinking water all day, or fresh juices, literally juices from the fruits or vegetables. That could be a good cleanse for your body. Like, what way could you partner with this? Esther did it. She stood out. She was chosen. So she ate clean. She ate extremely clean, actually. How could you implement clean eating in your lifestyle this month, which will result in beautification? Remember, there's always a reward on the other side of your effort, on the other side of your decision to not compromise, on the other side of your sacrifice, I suppose you could say. So there will be a reward. So how could you, in 1 or 2 or 3 ways, clean up your eating habits? So that's what I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you got anything out of this, share it with a friend. Feedback is always valuable for me. I do look forward to your feedback. Until next time.